oh boy, there's a whole lot going on in the world politically, and now we're in 2023. If anyone else is going to run for president other than Biden and Trump, they better start announcing. And how will Trump react to that stuff? What's going on in Trump world? Well, we want to check in with Donald Trump's favorite author. He's the MAGA from Down Under, founder of Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness. He's Nick Adams. Hey, Nick.
G'day, Larry O'Connor.
You are Donald Trump's favorite author.
He does like me. He does like my books, Larry. So I guess you could make the corollary and say that I am indeed his favorite author.
I got to ask you, as the Biden classified document scandal starts to unfold, and I think, Nick, it's fair to say the walls are closing in on Joe Biden. It's got to be pretty entertaining to watch how the media now has to bend over backwards to say, oh, this is very different than Donald Trump, very different than Donald Trump.
It's wonderful, Larry. I'm actually enjoying it personally immensely, I must tell you. It's great to see how the liberal media are contorting themselves with greater skill and ability than even the finest Swedish yoga instructor. It's amazing the lengths to which they will go to try to defend and protect Joe Biden. But you're right, the walls are closing in. This is the best thing that could have happened for the one candidate that we've got that's announced that they're running for the Republican side. But I tell you what, the really interesting stuff, Larry, is who's going to be running on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
Because it's increasingly obvious to me, at least, and of course I don't have a brain the size of Jupiter like you, but even my meager brain tells me, Larry, that it's looking like Joe Biden's going to have some competition.
Yeah. Nick, my monologue 2 weeks ago was, oh, so this whole document thing is how they get rid of Joe Biden. They got to get rid of him. There's no way he can run in 2024. And I think this is the way to ease him out. This thing is going to continue to grow. We got the resignation of Ron Klain as chief of staff. This has all the indications of a scandal starting to plague a presidency. They can't afford it. He's got to announce he's not running within the next month or two.
I think you're right on the timing. Yeah, I do think it has to happen within the next 4 to 8 weeks. It's clear that he's got a lot of powerful enemies on his own side. Mm-hmm. They've come to the same conclusion that we have, Larry, although we came to it before he became president, which is that he's completely and totally incapable of doing the job. And they certainly don't want him to be the candidate again. In 2020, at least, he was able to hide behind the veneer of COVID and everything else. Yeah. But this time, he would actually have to be out on the hustings, meeting people, talking to people, and that would be 10 scandals a day in his current state.
Nick, we all have seen the B-roll of the image of the Mar-a-Lago raid, right? With how many police cars did they have with the red and blue lights? It was nighttime, right? So disrupting all of the neighbors. You had over 30 armed FBI agents plowing into the president's home, his compound, all to get these documents. And of course, the posed photograph of the so-called top secret classified documents that were discovered in the president's office, when of course they all knew they were there. They had ongoing conversations going with the archive and the Justice Department about it. I'd love for you to compare and contrast to what happened this last Friday in Biden's house, where I think the headline from Andrew McCarthy over at National Review was, "Why Biden consented to an FBI search." Consented? Like they asked his permission? Hey, Joe, is it okay if we come into the house? They didn't ask Trump's permission, Nick.
Larry, what can I tell you? The double standard is obvious, glaringly obvious for all to see. This is always the way that it works with the left. It's one rule for them and one rule for the rest. What should have happened to Joe Biden should have been, if they were going to be fair, something like what transpired down in Mar-a-Lago last year. And it should have been done a lot earlier, Larry. This should have been done a week ago, not on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Nick, the story this morning was the Justice Department is weighing whether they should search Biden's beach house in Rehoboth. What do you mean weighing? They should have the yellow tape marked around it like it's a crime scene, Nick.
They should be on surfboards all around, waiting for their opportunity to attack. Look, you just see the amount of deference they're giving him Larry, and it's very sad. You know, the American people are watching all of this, and I believe that they're instinctively saying, viscerally saying, this is not fair, this is not right, this can't go on. We can't have these two standards. It's like these guys work for the Democrats and they don't work for us.
Yeah, it is, and it's such an insidious and undermining idea that the American people don't feel like the Justice Department treats people the same depending on their politics. That said, Nick, listen, and I think he's going to go. I don't think he's running. I think he's going to announce. The question is, as someone who supports Donald Trump as fervently as you do, wouldn't you rather have him run against a wounded, depleted Joe Biden versus, say, historic Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or something, or Pete Buttigieg for that matter?
Look, Larry, here's the biggest problem with the Democrats. The bench is not deep whatsoever. So a wounded and depleted Joe Biden, let me tell you, is not much different to a healthy and vibrant Pete Buttigieg, whose incompetence is clear for all to see. It is no different to Governor Newsom down there, who has run the state so well that everybody's left it. I mean, every single one of these guys that wants to be a pretender and a contender for the Democratic nomination has got so much baggage. I mean, it's going to make LAX and DFW and LaGuardia look like, you know, nothing. So I'm not worried about it. I think Donald Trump's going to absolutely pummel anybody that runs for that job.
All right, but first he has to win the nomination. Let's talk about the Republican bench is a little deeper, I think you'd agree. Starting with the governor of Florida. Now, he's got a legislative session that he's embarking upon right now. He can't announced that he's going to run for president for several months now as he does the business as governor of Florida. But I got to say, President Trump went after him a little bit in the fall there, had some things to say. I don't think it hurt DeSantis at all. In fact, the latest polls show that DeSantis is doing quite well against Trump. How do you work out? Because I know you like DeSantis too. How do you work through the two of them running against each other?
Look, Larry, I'm a Floridian. I live in Florida. The first vote I ever cast was last year because I became a citizen in 2021, and it was for Ron DeSantis to be the governor. You know, look, I hope Ron DeSantis doesn't run personally, because I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath and it's going to split the party in two. I would prefer if Ron DeSantis would wait for another 4 years, particularly since
Nick,
President Trump has announced. Yes.
Let me jump in. Why does it have to be a bloodbath? Why? Look at the Democrats. You know, Biden and Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a racist during their debate in the primaries, and yet somehow they got together and they were on the same ticket. Why do you think it's going to? Can't Trump run against Republicans and not make it a bloodbath?
Larry, I don't know if it's so much about Donald Trump as it is, I guess, the process and Republicans. I take your point about Democrats and Kamala and Joe, but I think we're just a lot more or less fake. I mean, we're kind of, you know, we like to stand by what we say, and we have, I think, more of an ego. Now, in some ways that might be a bad thing, but in other ways, I think it certainly makes us more genuine, more authentic than the Democrats. I just can't see such a rigorous process like a presidential nomination being without a bloodbath this time. Donald Trump believes that he should have been there anyway now.
Yeah.
And he's already announced he's older. He backed Ron DeSantis to be governor in the first place. So he believes that it's still his turn and that Ron DeSantis should wait.
We only have like 20 seconds. Do you agree? Do you think that it's still Trump's turn? He's basically the incumbent and other Republicans shouldn't run?
I think so,
right.
Larry. I mean, I do, yeah.
We'll leave it there. Nick Adams. It's always good to talk. By the way, you must be really sad to see that New Zealand Prime Minister step down. Boy, she was a real piece of work, wasn't she?
Oh, wasn't she? Just the kind of women I like, Larry. Skinny, feministic, the whole deal.
We will leave it there. Nick Adams, founder of the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness, and Donald Trump's favorite author. More to come on O'Connor Tonight. You're watching Salem News Channel.